Great pleasure right now to welcome NFL Analyst. You've seen him on the NFL Network and now with ESPN, and he's written a great new book. It's called The Class of Football, Words of Hard-Earned Wisdom from Legends of the Gridiron, and he's making his way around the camps right now as we get ready for the upcoming season. Adam Schefter joining us by telephone. How are you, Adam?
Hello, Doug. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Good to get a chance to talk to you. Enjoy your work on television, and I guess this is the part of the year where you log a lot of mileage, don't you?
Yeah, there's no question about it. I've driven. Let's see, I'm in my car right now, and I'm driving from the Jets camp to the Giants camp. Since Thursday, I've done 5 camps in 5 days. I've driven 1,300 miles, so more miles ahead, more camps to go, but it's great fun, and I'm very fortunate to be able to do this.
Really has been the primary sport you've covered over the years, of course, in newspapers and now with television and radio with ESPN. There's always a lot of great stories in camp. I guess that must be kind of like hanging around spring training in baseball, right? You get those more in-depth stories at this time of the year.
Yeah, there's no question, and there's nothing like a great story, but I've always sided with news stories, and it just seems like there are more news stories today than ever before. And again, the NFL is the king sport, and everybody loves it. They have their teams, the Buccaneers in Tampa, where you are, and obviously everyone's got fantasy football teams, and so there's more interest in this than ever before, and that is very fortunate for me because that's the way I make my living.
Let's talk about the book right now. Of course, you have the Hall of Fame ceremony coming up shortly in Canton, and this book features a lot of great excerpts from speeches of great players and coaches. What gave you the idea to do the book at this particular time?
Well, Doug, what happened was about 2 years ago I was in Tampa. I bumped into Michael Irvin, who was being inducted, and he was giving a speech the next day. I said, "You all ready for your speech, Michael?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "You wrote it out, rehearsed it already?" And he said, "No, I'm just going to wing it." And I thought to myself, what an idiot. And he went up there and gave one of the greatest speeches I ever heard. It was incredible. And I went to bed that night, and about 4 in the morning, I popped out of bed, and I went, oh, my God. About 250 men are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. They've all been inducted. They've all had to give speeches, and I'll bet they've all said something that was incredibly inspirational and motivational at a very emotional time. And sure enough, the great people at the Pro Football Hall of Fame had the transcripts. I went in, read them all through from 1963 on, whittled all down the information, edited it down, got rid of all the extraneous, thank you, Doug, and thank you, Bruce, and thank you, Mom and Dad, and thank you, whoever. Came up with the most motivational, inspirational passages.
I remember watching that Michael Irvin speech, and it really was kind of against what I think the public expected as his type, because he's always been kind of his own kind of guy, but he was very emotional. I think he apologized, basically, for being not the greatest father or husband in the world, didn't he?
That's exactly what he did, and he wanted his children to be better than he was, and it was very emotional. And that's the whole point to this, though. Basically, all of these men were emotional. This is basically the pinnacle of their careers. They're about to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and they speak with such rawness, such meaningful words, and I thought these words provided great life lessons to every young athlete in any sport. Now, if you play football in particular, to me, everyone who plays it, Pop Warner, high school, college, should read this. Every coach at any level should read this. Again, there are so many life lessons. This country's got a fascination with motivational books. It's got a fascination with football history and football figures. These are the most famous figures in football history, offering up the most meaningful life lessons in the class of football. And again, I didn't write anything, but I'm very proud to have collected all these words and have them in one edition.
It's a great idea. One in particular I enjoyed was Mike Singletary's story. I didn't realize what he had gone through in his childhood, and he wrote down a goal of becoming a college player and an NFL player, and it came through. So that was a great story you had about him, or what he told about himself.
That's the whole thing here, Doug. I think if you go through and you read every speech from every Hall of Famer, you didn't realize a lot of these things. Like, I never realized that Len Dawson was the seventh child, and I mean, it was just bizarre. He's like, I was destined to be lucky, and that basically Calvin Hill presented Ozzie Newsome and held up Ozzie Newsome as an example to his kids as they were growing up, to the point where Ozzie Newsome was one of the biggest influences there were on Grant Hill. I mean, all sorts of stories throughout that you didn't really know, but these men are speaking at an incredibly emotional and meaningful time in their life.
Class of Football is the name of the book. We've been talking with Adam Schefter, of course, of ESPN now, an NFL analyst. Adam, before we let you go, I don't know if you've been to Tampa Bay Buck Camp yet, but fans down here like to get some insight. What do you think?
Well, I think that it's a year where they're transitioning right now. I think that they bring in the new coach, the new GM, and they're going to be great, Raheem Morris and Mark Dominic. But it's going to take some time. They're in a tough division with some tough quarterbacks. They go up against Matt Ryan and the Falcons. They go up against Drew Brees and the Saints. And that's not an easy thing to do. And when you have situations like that, life can be difficult. But they have some very good building blocks. They're going to be a good team. I just think it may take another year or two.
Raheem is doing a great job from the media perspective. A good interview so far from what I've heard. So I think from that aspect, the media's going to love Raheem, I think. Now, we'll see what happens if they get onto a losing start, but he's a good guy.
He's dynamic. He's like Mike Tomlin in that regard, and eventually, again, I think he's going to be great, but I don't really think that the Buccaneers fans will care how he's dealing with the media so much as how he's coaching in the games and whether he's winning or losing.
Well, Adam, I appreciate you taking a few minutes. I know you're on the road, and we'll hopefully talk to you later in the season. Again, The Class of Football is the name of the book. And Adam, we'll talk to you again. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Doug. Really appreciate it.